stuff in a row here real quick. Okay, just making sure I get the volume going. Sounds right, maybe. Yep. Okay, I hear stuff. Good. Okay, sorry about the very impromptu nature of this. Start off with fun stuff. I got a jersey. Yay! Ordered off Amazon. It's a little heavier than I would like, but it is what it is. So I know I've been talking about how I was going to be going to Florida this weekend for the last couple of weeks. Well, I thought that the plans had gotten changed, but just found out that plans had not gotten changed. So I've got a lot of preparing to do. And when I told Ashley, I was like, okay, well, I've got a lot of stuff I need to get done. And she's like, we're only going for 2 days. I'm like, I don't think she understands how this works. So, yeah, so there we go. So what I've done is I've already started tying mortician's rigs. So we have the swivel at the top. We got 2 figure-8 knots right here. We'll put a snood in between those, go down a little more, 2 more figure-8s, and then we go down to the bottom where we will tie on our sinker. We'll be using pyramid sinkers because it's the Gulf. I'm going to take my surf fishing cart to the Gulf for the first time with the sand tires. Well, first time period with it, but it'll be the first time I've really used the sand tires because they are, made for the sand and don't hold up well. Would expect them to hold up well on asphalt and such. So we start off with 30 pound, trailing big game mono. That's going to be what the main rig of the mortician's rig is made out of. And then the snoods will be out of 20 pound Excel mono from Bass Pro because that's what I grabbed. So we want these are kind of like Kentucky rigs, sort of. I'm going to guesstimate on the length right now. Let me change this to all messages. Appreciate everybody coming in. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take our 1/0 Mutu light owner circle hooks, or owner Mutu lights, whatever, and we're going to start off with the no-knot snell, wrap around 6, 7, 8 times, and then I'll go ahead and turn this into the egg loop knot, and that just keeps the knot from being able to unwind. So run that through, tie this up. If you want to learn how to do that, there are plenty of videos on my channel. We'll go over this. And because we're using this knot, we can cut the tag end short here. And let me tilt down a little bit because I know you guys really don't care what's on the wall, and I'd rather see what's going on down here, hopefully. So that gives us the snood, and it's way too long. And so the way we're going to do our pompano rigs, got some out. So going to be using a combination of the chartreuse and green and the chartreuse and orange floats on these. Some of them will have no floats. Some of them will have a float on each of the rigs. So really what we don't want the snood to be very long at all. Maybe 5, 6 inches. So we'll just do a surgeon's loop here. And that's just doubling the line over and then doing a double overhand knot. I'll do a triple, but basically. And what you end up with is a loop at the end. And then this long tag end is going to get cut off. Like I say, made it way too long. So that's this. Okay, and we talked about already the mortician's rig and how this goes on there when I don't have it all convoluted. So we've got these 2 figure-8 knots. And those work as stoppers. So we'll take this little snood leader. We'll wrap it around here once behind the back and then come to the front. And we're going to put the hook through that loop that was on the end of the little snood, the offshoot. And that's going to make a hitch knot, cow hitch knot right there. So that cow hitch knot, I'll pull it a little tight there, goes between those two figure 8 knots. So here's the top of the leader here. We got a figure 8. Then we've got that cow hitch that we just tied on this leader from, another figure 8 down at the bottom. And so this can go up and down that inch or so of line, and it can also spin around it. So there's that. So that's going to be the top one. We'll put another one at the bottom. I'll get that one started here in just a second. And there's the piece that I cut off. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to do another egg loop knot here. And I like these better for pompano rigs than the standard double dropper rig that everybody seems to use. That has that, I don't even know what the knot is called, but basically you twist it and run it through the center. That is the standard for the pompano rigs. It's also kind of a standard for Kentucky rigs. And I don't like it because there's a few things. One, that knot is pretty weak, actually. It does not test well. And I've tested it, and that's how I know it doesn't test well. And because of that, I don't want that to be the weak point, right? The other thing is, the typical way that they do that is they, so then you get this big long loop coming off. And they'll just run both ends of the loop through the eye of your circle hook, and it creates a cow hitch knot on the circle hook. Well, the problem is that also can get cut by the wire on the hook where it bends around and touches. So while you've got the double strength of the line going to it, you still have a really easy break point there when the line gets rubbed up against the wire of the hook as it goes back to meet and form the loop. So you also don't get the benefits of a Snell knot, the trigger action and all that kind of stuff. Now, the guys, don't get me wrong, the people in Pensacola that use those pompano rigs do well with them. So I'm kind of reinventing a wheel that didn't necessarily need reinventing. But be that as it may, I did it anyway. This one I meant to put one of these floats on first, and I didn't. I tied the knot first. So we'll just drag it down there the hard way. And I got to be careful about how tight I pull this, because if I do it too well, I'm going to end up pulling it down so far that the hook comes up and bites me in the hand. Okay, let's see if I can do it this way. I'm just kind of using the pliers instead of my fingers to try to not get hooked as easily. There we go. Okay, so that came down fine. Took a little bite off the float. That's okay. Normally I would like to have a stopper in there, but I don't, so it'll be okay. And the idea is, so the weight's going to sit on the bottom, and you get the angle coming up. So you got, a 10-foot rod on about 3 foot, 2 to 3 foot sand spike. And you figure the water's, maybe 10, 15 feet long, deep. So you get, say, 25 feet on that slant. So, if you went out 25, if your cast was only 25 feet, then be a 1-to-1. So, for every foot that came in, a foot would go up on the line, creating a right triangle. But or isosceles triangle rather. That's not really how it works. Equilateral triangle. There we go. No, isosceles. Anyway, so with the weight on the bottom, you've got that slant. So you want to make sure that your baits are above where the crabs can get on their back legs and go up and grab it. So that's why we have these snoods. And that's also why we put a float on here, so it'll float the bait up a little bit. Of course, underwater, it'll float up. And there we go. So let me figure out where the rig is that I was just working on. I'd tell you my desk is a mess, but I don't want the secret getting out. That's not it. There's my conglomerated mess of all of my rigs tied up. There it is. Found it. So that's just the main part of the leader. I'm putting, like I say, the snoods on now. So there is my top hook, which is going to be what they call a naked rig. It doesn't have a float or anything on it. And then the bottom one, I've got this right here. So again, we just go behind the main leader, run our hook through that surgeon's loop that we created, get the float through there as well. And create that cow hitch knot right between the two figure 8 knots. And there we go. And again, we'll hook our sinker on there at the bottom. So I'll open up one of my little baggies. These are 4mm bags. I love these. You put 1 rig per bag, and then when you try to unravel things, it unravels pretty decently. So just kind of wrap this up as best we can so it'll fit in there. And then you've only got 1 entire rig to have to fight with to unravel when you're trying to put a new rig on your rock. So last time I was down in Pensacola, some of the stuff that I left, I took an inventory of the rods that I left so I'd know what I had down there so I wouldn't have to guess, because last couple times I've been down there, I seem to pack everything I own, only to get down and go, oh, well, I already had most of this. So, another one of these snoods. Hey, fat cat. Let me, let's see. Izuku, hello. Sophie, how you doing? How you doing? Let's see. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Palomar, I love you, Mark. And when I tied these in the living room, so I didn't have a good snip there. So I've got to snip off the tag ends of my knots here real quick. Again, get swivel top, 2 figure 8s right here. Go down some more 2 figure 8s, and then a surgeon's loop at the bottom. And then we'll just put that through the eye of the swivel, or not swivel, the sinker, and then put the sinker through that hole, and it will make a cow hitch on there. So we're just, like I say, tying the hooks on at this point. We're using the Owner Mutu Light circle hooks. I did do a strength test on hooks, and the Mutu Light was one of them. That is what a lot of the folks down there use. You know, I try not to reinvent the wheel. These are nice sharp hooks. They'll stick in here really well. So, and they don't bend out until after at least 20 pounds. If I'm using 20-pound mono and I'm using a cow hitch knot, that's going to have not the full, 27, 28 pound strength, but closer to like 23 pounds. So everything is sized appropriately. You can, I work in IT, and you can always, chase the bottleneck, as we call it. Well, you don't have enough process, you add more process. Well, now you don't have enough RAM. You add more RAM, and think, well, now you don't have enough disk space. And you just, you keep chasing it into oblivion. At some point, you just have to say, enough's enough. So that's why, because these are I'm going to be surf fishing with these, so they're going to be going into sand, a sandy bottom. I am not worried about these getting hung up on the bottom much. I've only hung up the bottom a couple of times out there. So that's why I have a 30 pound main leader, or main part of the rig, and then the 20 pound for the hooks. That way, if something's going to break off, in theory, it's going to be the hook first, and then I can get my hook and my sinker back, the other hook and the sinker, and the swivel, as opposed to you losing the whole rig. So just tying another one of these egg loop knots. So I've got some good news for the PC Fun Chaos Pro fans out there. Chaos now has them back in, or not Chaos, PC Fun now has the Chaos Pro reel back in stock. And what that means, although I haven't gotten my hands on one yet, is the clicker, which was my big complaint about those. It has a very muted clicker. It's supposed to be 11 decibels louder, give or take, in the new version. It's not, there's no new name to it. It's just the only thing changed was the clicker on it, from what PC Fun has told me. So the next batch has come in. So if you get them off of PCFun.com, you will get one of the new ones. If you get them off Amazon, they may still have some of the old stock. So there's that. In the description of a lot of my videos, not this one yet, unfortunately, there will be one later, there is a discount code, as well as if you've never signed up before and you may need to use Edge. Chrome seems to block the little pop-up that gets you the coupon, but if you've never signed up on their website before, if you use the link that's in like my channel description, and will eventually be in this video description, you get a $25 off a $70 or more purchase. And these reels, I believe, are $89.99, which should bring it down to not bad with math. I think it went up, I want to say, probably 72 with tax and everything. And once again, I went off and did that without putting the thingamajiggy on it, the float. So I'll do another one, because we're going to have some naked anyway, so it's not a big deal. And also there's a code FTM18 that'll get you 18% off on PC Fun's website. The two do not stack, but yeah. And if you use the $25 off coupon thing and make a purchase, I also get a $25 coupon. So helps me, helps you, everybody's happy. If you use the 18% off code, it gets you 18% off. Doesn't do anything for me because I am not part of their influencer, well, whatever you call it. The pro staff, most of the people that have codes, everybody else I think that has codes, they get something for it. I assume a commission. I'm just not big enough yet, but I asked them, can I have a discount code anyway? I don't care if I don't get anything out of it, as long as it helps out the folks that watch my channel. And I do like PC Fun reels. I would not suggest them if I didn't. And when the time comes that I ever am big enough to get sponsored and stuff, I'm only going to go with companies whose products I believe in and whose products I will pay my money for. There are plenty of companies out there I believe in, but I don't think they're a good value. Like there's some really nice beach carts out there for $800, and I'm sure they're fabulous, but I'm not spending $800 on a beach cart. So I'm not going to ask you to, and I'm not going to ask them for a free product to pimp their product when I wouldn't pay it myself. Value-oriented fisherman. I do have nice stuff, but I typically get it on sale. That's just how I am. Cheap. Frugal. Cheap. So when I do put a float rig on these and a naked rig without the float, I'm always going to put the float on the bottom one, because that's the one that's going to be closer to the bottom of the Gulf and therefore closer to the crabs. And blue crabs will pick you clean. They will. They will. Hey, Eddie Gross, thank you for coming in, my friend. Derek, hello. How are you? I'm sorry, I'm a little slow on my reading skills. This got put together kind of a little impromptu. I'd had it scheduled for Tuesday, and then I didn't feel like doing it, so I moved it to Wednesday, and then yesterday when I found out that we probably weren't going to Pensacola, so I just canceled it. And then tonight I found out that we are in fact going to Pensacola. So I got to get some stuff ready. And it's funny, like I say, Ashley, she's like, we're only going to be there for, 2 full days, and then we're coming back. And I was like, yeah, I know, but, preparing for a fishing trip is not as simple as let's throw it all in the car. Because, I want to have these rigs made up. When I get to the water, I want to, when I get to Pensacola, I want to tie these on the rods that are there. I want to hit the water. I want to be on my way home, sweet home, fishing, need to have all my camera gear charged up. Need to have everything packed. I'm going to try out some new casting gloves. So these go basically with a 1-finger glove. And so when you're throwing heavy weights on a spinning reel, you can hold that. You can use a casting cannon. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with those. I bought a couple and I didn't like them. Take it for what it is. There was nothing necessarily wrong with them. I just found myself not getting benefit from them the way I thought I would. But when you're casting, like say, heavy lures or heavy weights with braided line, you can do a number on your finger right here at this first crease where you're holding the line. Another tip that makes it a little easier is if you crank your drag tighter so that it can't slip while you're trying to get everything in position to cast. That also can help. But anyway, I got some of those Dr. Fish gloves. I actually ordered a different brand first, but they came in and they're too small. So I got the Dr. Fish because they have come in a XX large. Didn't care for the camouflage color, but I don't really care what the color is. So if I don't care what color is, then why do I care that it's camouflage, right? Yeah. So we'll see how that all goes out, and hopefully that will be a fantabulous event. Now I'm finally going to do one of these rights. Again, did the egg loop knot and putting on a little bullet style float. And yes, it seems counterintuitive, but the idea is that if a fish bites this, I don't want it biting and having to go over. Yeah, I'm hoping, when they bite in the center, that kind of pushes the float up, whereas opposed to put it on this way. You bite here, it could, push it into the mouth. And everything in saltwater, not everything, most things in saltwater have teeth. So just kind of hoping to get something out of that. The other thing is there have been the fish gum guy down there cast out a camera one time. And interestingly enough, a lot of the fish were hitting the colorful float. So that's why I want to peg it down there. It didn't come out. Don't. Andy, if you're in here, don't. So I'm just going to use a little bobber stopper here. And so what that does, and it puts the bobber stopper on the line, and then you slide it down here. I'm going to give it a little bit of freedom. Yeah. Half inch or so it can move a little bit. But that way I can be sure that the float is doing its job and floating the bait up as it does that. Hey, Eddie Gross, if I didn't already say hi, I sure meant to. Glad to have you in. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. We got 10 thumbs up, and let's see, this one tell me how many people? 3. Well, that's more than I deserve, so I'll take what I get, right? I am excited. This is going to be only the second time that I've gone live from the surf out there. And surf fishing is it's interesting. Typically, I'm going to be using fresh dead shrimp or frozen but not very long kind of shrimp. I'm going to try to get my hands on a sand flea rake down there. I tried ordering one off of Amazon, and it came in, or actually I got one from Walmart. It came in and it was tiny. Like, this is not what I want. So then I ordered one off of Amazon, and it had multiple pieces that screw together for the handle, which was very nice, I thought, except that the gauge of the metal is so weak that this was just in my living room. I just, pushed it against the floor a little bit to kind of simulate, make sure it was going to be stiff enough, and it seemed to be stiff enough, except that it came loose. So I'd have to tighten it back up, and just the way it's made is not. So anyway, it's going back. So I'll go down to the bait shop when I'm down there, and hopefully they will have one at a reasonable price. Reasonable's in the eye of the beholder. I've already been through 2 different brands that I thought were terrible, and I bought them because of price. So there's that. And then, of course, I will I plan to do some fishing from the dock there as well. But that's in the Intracoastal waterway. And last summer we were down there, and we were in the Intracoastal, and we also were 1 sandbar away from the beach, like a very shallow, or from the Gulf, very small, narrow sandbar. And I swear to you, the water in the Gulf is 10 degrees cooler than it was in the Intracoastal. So that's why I'm going to spend a long time at the Intracoastal. Hey, nobody really. We do have memberships available. Thank you so much. It's kind of funny because somebody came in shortly after I got monetized and set up memberships, and they gave away 20 memberships, which I thought was amazing, except apparently I didn't have them set up right. So I got 30 cents out of memberships. So, I'm thinking, hey, this person just, spent a lot of money on membership. No, they didn't. It was apparently they didn't have the pricing set up. Or I don't know. Anyway, so, but those I think have all expired by now. And I'm getting close to that $100 check. My first check from YouTube. For anybody who cares about how much you make off of YouTube and all that kind of stuff, so you have to understand, I do not put as much time and effort into YouTube as some people do, as a lot of people do, as successful people do. It took me not a year. It probably took me 6 months of actual working hard to get monetized. My channel is much older than that, but that's because I didn't really care enough to work that hard. And last summer when I was in Pensacola, I did some live streams and actually had some good views out of them. So that's why I worked to get monetized this year before those all expired, got my 4,000 hours and all that fun stuff. I've been monetized for, I think, 2 full months now, and I'm just getting to that $100 mark. So you're not going to get overly rich doing this. I'm not going to get overly rich at doing this, put it like that. But it's kind of nice. I had a firearms channel several years back and never did anything with it much. I mean, I did a few videos and that kind of stuff, but that was before you had to do anything to get monetized. You just, if you put out content, you get monetized. I think they still owe me 4 cents from that one. So there you go. And if you send gifts and super chats and all that stuff, memberships, I appreciate it. Not required. I'm fortunate enough to not be hurting for money. I'm not well off either, but I'm not. My bills get paid. Sometimes I even have a little extra left over. But if I ever did lose my job, I would probably try to make a go out of YouTube. The problem is, it'll take me a long time to get the viewership up, even, putting in the hard work that other channels do. You still have to put in the hard work before people show up. Bob from Anything Possible, somebody was congratulating him on his, getting to 6,000 subs. And as some of you know, I have a bit of social awkwardness. I'm like, that's all you've got? And yeah, I said the quiet part out loud, but it wasn't meant to be mean. It was, Bob goes live umpteen times a week. Bob puts out good content. He's a personable guy to watch. He catches fish. He's done what he needs to do to be successful. And I was surprised that his results are not better than they are. But again, and Bob will tell you this, everybody in YouTube will tell you this, subs really don't matter. Once you get past that 1,000 to get monetized, and of course the watch hours, but the subs don't matter. You don't get paid for subs. You get paid for watch hours. And subs is one of those numbers that we all chase because it's a feel-good metric. But in the big scheme of things, that is not what pays the bills. Just throwing that out there. I think everybody, including myself, it gets hung up on that subscriber count, and it just doesn't matter. It's kind of like putting chrome accents on your car. It doesn't help you get, the truckers say, chrome don't get you home. It's nice to see, but it doesn't add any benefit to the task at hand, which is, putting out quality content that makes people want to watch it. Because most everyone's that I know views, the bulk of our views don't come from subscribers. And an empty subscriber, which is what a lot of mine are, people that subbed but then don't come back. And I think everybody has that problem. They don't do any good. Sure, they may get notifications that I'm on, but if they don't come and watch, it doesn't matter. And I'll try something this weekend, and we'll see if it works or not. I'm going to try wearing a GoPro and being live. Not a GoPro, but a DJI. And kind of try to do not only a live stream, but also a long form out of the highlights, which I realized I could download the live stream and cut it up and everything. But I don't know. I'm going to see if it can be done. The problem I've always had with long form content is I will record stuff and then I don't like it, so I don't put it out there. But the live stream, the great thing about live streams, love them or hate them, is you get one shot. What you do, whatever happens, happens. I mean, you can go back and delete it if you feel like it's that bad. But yeah. Wow, the only person here. That's not a good sign. Oh, there's two of us here. Here we go. That's okay. I know there's a lot of people live, all that fun stuff. Let me make sure that there's not something goofy going on and I'm not spinning or anything. Live. No, that looks like me. Hey, Joseph J, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Doing some quick catching up because I was supposed to be going to Florida. Kind of had that on the plan, but then kind of thought the last couple of days that had just not materialized, and then come to find out tonight it has materialized, and so getting a bunch of stuff together. I've already said this, but nobody else is here to hear it again. I told Ashley, it's like, oh, I've got a lot of stuff I need to do. She's like, we're going to be there for 2 days. I said, yeah, but I'm going to go fish. She's like, yeah. She doesn't understand what it takes to get ready to go fishing. Which, I mean, I make it sound like it's really a whole lot of work. It ain't that much, but you like to be prepared, get your rigs tied up so that you're not, you don't get out there with this big bag full of stuff going, what am I going to do now? Which is usually how I do things. So let's see, Mutu, 30 and 20 pound meters. So I put all my rigs in baggies so that they don't get all tangled up like this. So I'm just tying up some mortician's rigs named after, as I understand it, named after the fishing mortician who came up with the idea. It's kind of a different take on the double drop rig. So how'd you end up doing today, Josie? I was in there watching you for a while, and you had a couple of bites, but I don't think anything had materialized out of them. And then you threw into that tree down a little further. And then, I don't know, ADD kicked in, or I don't know, may have made lunch. I don't remember. But I hope you had a good, successful trip today. Well, you had a successful trip, whether you caught anything or not, I'm sure, because, I mean, just getting out there is half the fun. You can't catch them if you ain't out there, if you're not out there to catch them. So these are going to be my saltwater rigs. Take a little 1/0 multi-light circle hook. You caught a smallie. Awesome. And thread on one of these small bullet shape floats. And throw a bobber stopper on there. Well, that one came loose from the end where it wasn't supposed to. There we go. Let's get the bobber stopper on there so that it kind of keeps bobber down towards the bottom or towards the hook. Thank you. Just leaving another lake. You caught 2 in 30 minutes. Awesome. What'd you catch there? I think you said that you had won a catfish reel or rod off of a live stream, SoCal maybe, and so you were doing. And then you had a catfish rig out there today. Largemouth's cool. Yeah. That did not do what I wanted. Come on. I had a feeling I had messed up that surgeon's loop. I got all kinds of see if I can get this apart. Come on. God, I remember when I used to be able to see. Okay. There, undid that. That is cool. Because I know that you're not much, you're more of a bass person. So it's neat to see you out there catfishing. And that's, that's one good thing about catfish. Well, there's lots of good things about catfishing, but you can go out there and fish for whatever you want while you're catfishing. Throw 1 or 2 rods out for catfishing and do what you actually went there to do. And you increase your chances of having a fish on the line. If you're wanting to go bass fishing or crappie fishing, you do that. But you got a rod sitting over to the side with a bell on it, and when the bell rings, you may have a fish. It's also much easier to live stream while catfishing because you're not as tied up doing things. It's also why I like surf fishing, because I think it lends itself to live streaming, because you may have 4 rods out there, and if a school of fish comes through, you're in trouble because they're all 4 going off at once if you're lucky. And I don't know how I managed to lose everything that I had in front of me. Oh, right here, because they're right in front of me. But once you get them casted out there, although you do have to bait a lot more water, often in saltwater, because with the waves and stuff, you don't get to see as much of the bites, and you get crabs and you got other stuff that wants to steal bait. What part of the Mid-South? I am in the Memphis area. I didn't realize that the Mid-South was not something everybody had heard of. I grew up in West Tennessee, and so most of our TV channels came out of Memphis, and they always talked about it being the Mid-South. And so you get the Midwest, you get you get East Coast, you get Southwest. I just always assumed that Mid-South was one of those things that was known nationwide, and apparently it is not, because a lot of people have to where in the heck is the Mid-South. So that's where it is. Kind of, I don't know if Memphis is necessarily the center of it, but everybody in Memphis seems to think it is. But it's kind of upper part of Arkansas, upper part of Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Kentucky, parts of Missouri. That's how I look at it. Mobile, Alabama is a wonderful. I'm going down to Pensacola this weekend. I love it down there. I love saltwater. And up until a couple of years ago, I had never fished saltwater. So it was one of those things I was like, I'd like to try it. And then, just was not a beach person. But it's interesting. And where I'm going to be is actually, I'm going to be so close to the Alabama line that I have to be careful where I fish. I don't have an Alabama license. I only have a Florida license. And if anybody ever gets down to that area, basically it's on the intercoastal side, but there is a place called Floribama Yacht Club. It's a restaurant, and it's a tourist trap, but doesn't make it a bad place. They have the best calamari I have ever had. And that's, I'm not saying I've been around the world, tried calamari everywhere, but they use, I think it's a crawfish cornbread that they make. I think that's what it is that they make, and they use that as the breading for the calamari. And oh my gosh, Yep, going on vacation. Hey, Mr. J, how you doing? Wicked Weasel, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, Brennan, I don't if you're a saltwater fishing kind of guy, if you're ever looking for content, a few of the people that I like Justin Reed Fishing. He's out of Pensacola. I also watch Rad Reeling Fishing, who's down south Florida. Mostly on, I think he mostly fishes the Gulf side though. And Bama Salt. Steven. He's out of Mobile Gulf Shores area. He mostly does boat fishing, but he'll get into estuaries and stuff like that as well. Hey, Fun Fishing Adventures. Floribama's a nice, I mean, we tend to end up there every time we go because, it's that or Hub Stacy's or the Point. Those are the restaurants that are, kind of like close there. I'm just tying up some pompano rigs, so I'll have them ready to go. They're actually Mortician's rigs, but anyway. Well, Scotty, I try to put on a great show. I mean, I want to be more like Scotty, but there's only one Scotty, and often imitated, never duplicated. Yeah, this was kind of thrown together last minute as well. I've been talking for a couple of weeks about how it's going out to Pensacola, but then Tuesday was questionable and Wednesday became like, I don't think we're going. And then today I found out, yes, we are. So all the work I had been putting off of getting all the right stuff together, I can't put off any longer. Only his fingers are roaching clever. His mouth is all polite and official. He should change his channel name to Governor Michael. Oh, but that. Although, if I actually upload it. So earlier tonight, I was watching Andy Fishing Hoosier. And for some odd reason, I decided I'd just, start scrolling up and see what else is live out there. Ermergerd. Holy God. There's some weird ass people on YouTube. I mean, weird. One dude didn't have ears. I kid you not. I don't know what happened. I didn't go into chat and go, "Hey man, what happened to your ears?" But that was interesting, and yeah. So I did kind of a screen recording and just kind of flipped from channel to channel or from live stream to live stream, and did a little colorful commentary. I'm not sure if I'll upload it or not, but if I do, I'm hoping it's funny. Apparently, and I don't know, I'm assuming that this is legitimate, but I ran into a couple of channels that say that they are LGBTQ whatever plus friendly, and that YouTube has certified them as being that, and I'm like, what? The author or the streamer is a member of the LGBTQ community, and I'm like, okay then, interesting. It's a safe space. Actually, I got this off of Amazon. It's a little heavier than I'd like. I'm trying to find trying to find a shirt blank that I like, because I've got people locally who can do the sublimation. And I think this was not sublimation. I think this was screen print or DTF or one of those two. But in any case, I know some people that can do the sublimation. I just have to find the right blanks. It's hard to find fishing shirts that don't already have some kind of stupid logo on them. I mean, yeah. I guess I can thank Polo for that back in the day. Polo and Izod and all those people. Anyway. So. Last time I went surf fishing down in Pensacola, the only thing I caught was an Atlantic sharknose. And it was interesting to catch one. Of course, I wasn't sure what it was at the time. I mean, it was a shark, but I didn't know what kind. And Florida is really, if you fish with certain equipment, they will assume that you are shark fishing, whether you are or not. And if you're fishing from land for sharks, you have to take their little free course every year and get certified. And it's not a big deal. Although I think it's kind of repetitive. Once you've done it once, you've done it, right? I don't know that you need to do it every year. But Florida is really into conservation of their sharks. So, there are certain sharks that you cannot take out of the water. You must leave the gills in the water while you release them. There's a video. I don't know if everybody's seen it yet or not. I saw it on Reddit, and it was beautiful. Some genius is down in the Gulf in Florida. Or in Florida, I don't know if it was Gulf or not. And him and his buddies, they caught a lemon shark. Lemons are one of those you don't take out of the water. Well, they took it out of the water anyway. And, take the hook out of it, has to sit on its back, pull its nose up like, every Yahoo out there that does that kind of nonsense. And, so he could look all studly and get his Instagram pictures and whatever. And well, his buddy goes back there and just kind of grabs the tail for unknown reasons. And that was enough to make the lemon shark angry. And it thrashed about. I don't know if it actually bit the guy, the one that was holding the snoot. See, this is why I put these in bags so that I don't have this problem. But he was airlifted. He's going to be fine. He's going to have a story to tell. But in his interview, he's like, I don't think I did it. I don't know what I should have done differently or what I did wrong. I think I did everything right. And then there was a comment from the news station that's like, FWC says they're investigating this incident, which I think is probably going to result in him getting a ticket for taking it out of the water. So folks, when you do something stupid, don't post it on the internet. And man, Reddit was roasting this guy. Oh, they were just, it's strange because, a lot of anglers hate sharks because you'll be fishing and you'll catch something nice and you're trying to land it and a shark will eat it for you. So a lot of anglers hate sharks. Don't care what kind. They're all bad. Well, in this case, they were all like, shark wins. And, kind of doing the Red Foreman dumbass kind of statement to the guy because it was beautiful. One of those things where karma just, kick him in the shin. 5 people still watching, 14 thumbs up. That is 5 more than I deserve. Well, 4 more than I deserve because I'm one of them. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you have not already subscribed, got to go to Bama Bob's Alabama style pulled pork sandwich. Ooh, I don't know about that, man. Memphis takes its barbecue seriously. The problem is, so I grew up in a small town in West Tennessee. which called itself the barbecue capital of the world, which was not. It didn't have the size to be the capital of anything. But pardon me, where I grew up, barbecue was pulled pork and sometimes chicken. Although you can't barbecue chicken without making it just dry as anyway. So, but we had whole hog barbecue, pit and everything. Well, a lot has changed since I was a kid. And one of the things that changed is everybody does butts now, which are actually the shoulders, not the butts. But anyway, the butts are the hams, the shoulders are the butts. Don't ask. And they're smoking them in gas-fired smokers, not wood coals. And so it's not the same. But if you go into these small towns that have not quite kept up with big city regulations, you can still find a whole hog pit barbecue place out there. And that is what barbecue is supposed to taste like. Imagine my surprise when I was down in Texas. Some of the coworkers were like, hey, let's go out for barbecue. Like, cool. So I go out for barbecue and they have brisket. What the hell is this shit? That ain't barbecue. Barbecue's pork, man. And not any kind of pork. I ain't talking ribs and stuff. I'm talking pulled pork. They had chopped pork, which is apparently an attempt to smoke a butt and then not put enough time or effort into it that it doesn't fall off the bone. You kind of have to chop it up. So yeah, I'm a barbecue snob. It's kind of funny because Memphis has, I think everywhere has, a group of people who are self-proclaimed foodies who are like, I think they are the expert on every kind of food out there. I always love it when people are like, does anybody know where I can get some authentic Ethiopian food? Like, how would you know if it's authentic? You ever been to Ethiopia? You ever had Ethiopian food? I mean, it's like people saying, I want authentic Mexican. What is authentic Mexican food? I'm being a little bit facetious because, it's kind of like authentic Italian. Well, Northern Italian food is different from Southern Italian food. The country does not dictate what the food is. Everything is regional, just as you get Kansas City barbecue, you got Carolina barbecue, you got Memphis barbecue, you get Chicago style pizza, you get New York style pizza, you get, oh my God, St. Louis style pizza. If you've never had ketchup on a cracker, that is St. Louis pizza. Yes, I'm talking about you, emos. First time I ordered pizza in St. Louis, got it Nemo's, because that was, where everybody, that's where the locals go. And so I ordered 2 of them because they had a special. And I go to pick them up and I pick up the boxes. And I literally stood there and I opened up the boxes and looked inside to make sure there was something in there because they were so light, I thought they were empty. It's an acquired taste. Okay. Beer is an acquired taste. Anybody that tells you differently is crazy. I don't know anybody that ever drank a beer the first time and went, ooh, that's delicious. Like, what's this garbage? You kind of force yourself to eat it enough and you're like, oh, well, it's not that bad. You might even like it. Beer snobs hate those too. Oh, I need something from microbrewery, an IPA. I'm like, I don't even know what an IPA is. I know what Mick Ultra is. I know what Bud Light Next is. And Bud Light Next is 0 carb, by the way, which is just awesome, except that nobody carries it because, well, you know why. I don't have to tell you, It might have something to do with the debacle over a certain case of beer that was sent to somebody a couple of years ago. I got everybody all up in their business. I'm all mad. It was all up in their fields. I'll never buy another product. Never. How dare they send this person a personalized case of beer? Sorry, Dad. I make fun of that well enough. And then the people that are just, like claiming victory because Uncle Herschel, or whatever his name is back on the Cracker Barrel logo. Okay. I mean, Cracker Barrel has been the same thing for a long time, and which is why people got mad. But you look at other restaurants that have been the same for a long time. Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Chili's, On the Border, Shoney's, which is now, as far as I know, out of business. They failed to innovate. They failed to follow trends. They kept doing what they've always done, thinking they were going to get what they always got. And what they got was customers that went elsewhere. And, yes, people my age like Cracker Barrel. People my age and older like Cracker Barrel. Well, their main demographic is doing that thing that old people do, and that's called dying. So when all your customers die, what do? Right? Now, I will tell you this. If you are single, or even if it's just you and your partner on Thanksgiving, Cracker Barrel is amazing. You don't end up with 63 pounds of leftovers. You get good food. You get a good, traditional Thanksgiving dinner if that's what you want, or you can get other stuff. But yeah, you better get there at like 10:30 in the morning if you expect to not wait a long time. Let's see. 2, 30, and 20. So, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 pompano eggs, which is not as many as I would like. But stuff happens. Let me think here. Put these in the pencil pouch. So if I'm going to have 4 rods out there, then that allows me to get broken off twice. I want to have more, but I may work on that later. Now let's see what I've got up here. I've been making some stuff up here earlier. Let's see. Or they just haven't put up yet. Let's see. These are not bottom rigs. Dang it. Okay. So I made up a lot of nice rigs, but they're 3-ways, which is not really what I'm wanting to use in the ocean. Okay, these are 12-aughts. And they are not really offset. Also not really sharp. Yeah, 12-aughts killer. Oh, overkill. Let's see, 8-aughts. They're a little offset. Dang it. Let's see. L197 BKU. It's the same. Those are the same hooks. pair. Ooh, sunglasses. I probably need those. Apologize. I'm looking through my hooks to see 6/0 circles. There's some BKU. Those are probably on the offset as well. Yep. You can't use offset circle hooks for sharks. Also means I can't use the River Cat's tackle hooks. Apologize for the break in action there. Let's see. So for shark rigs, this is 100 pound. No, that's suffix. There it is. 100 pound test offshore angler. So, go ahead and the bottom of this, I'll just do the surgeon's loop. That will hold my weight. My sinker. Actually, I'm thinking, what do I have in my three-way rigs over here? That one can be a three-way. This one can be a three-way. Not built, but I can turn it into one. And that one actually is a three-way already. Okay. Okay. So I got 4 of these. They've got a few different scenarios I need to be prepared for out there. One, of course, is the pompano rigs. I'd like to have a shark rig, even though my chances of actually catching a shark are not that high. And then I'll need some for just fishing from the dock, which are going to be more of my standard saltwater droppers, which doesn't have to be, those can be offset hooks. Let's see, 12-aught shark. It is 100 pound. I'll actually put these, the pompano in the other Boomer Flicky. Let's put these 3 in. One of the bags loose. I mean, 12-aught hook's ridiculous for anything in the Gulf, short of sharks, because even your redfish and stuff, the mouths aren't that big. I mean, yes, the redfish can get a 12-aught in their mouth, but the kind of baits that I'm hoping to be using for sharks are going to be, you know, like half a ladyfish. Okay, so I got those. So those are good. I get the 100 pound back out of the way. I don't need 100 pounds of the leader going to the swivel. All right, now what I need is my 40 pound Suffolk Superior. So this will go to, got some 6-aught H2OX hooks. What else have I got? 2-aught Circle C's, 8-aught. 6-aught Circle C's. There we go. I don't know how much I trust these Academy hooks based upon some of the testing I've already done with like the 1-aught size hooks. So let me get these Nutri lights back in their little cage. A little baggy. Ouch! If I have not bribed on Ashley lately, I need to do that because she finally finished her work, got it submitted, got it approved. So her master's is officially complete. She had already walked the line, but she had one more class that she had to finish, and she got it done. So yay her. That is a big weight off of her shoulders. And she did a lot this summer overall, between running and marathons, the bodybuilding stuff that she did. She has done a lot this summer. Had a lot on her plate. She accomplished it all. Very proud of her. I'm also looking forward to her having more time to be herself. She's still got, 50K coming up in November, I believe. It's not like she's resting on her pretty little laurels or anything, but she's got some things that are just going to be lighter for her. Nobody's talking. I don't blame you. 4 of you still in here. 15 thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. I don't like this. Let's start over. So with surf rods, you've got, they're 10-foot rods. And for getting good casting distance on them, you want to have, 7 or 8 feet of line out when you do the cast. You don't want them, like, it's not like bass rigs and crappie where you tend to want them close up to the eye, to the top eye. So I tend to make my rigs shorter than I should because I'm not keeping that part in my mind. So I'll make some double droppers here. Probably have some of these tied already, actually. Matter of fact, I know I do, but never hurts. So I haven't been live in a while. I hate putting my goofy AI gorilla content on this site, on this channel, because it's not what people subscribe to the channel for. I tried creating another channel, uploaded the exact same videos. Of course, now that channel has no subscribers. Of the 3 or 4 videos I put out, one of them has 1 watch, and that was me. 1 view. So, yeah. I do not want to use these bright colored swivels. And these aren't much darker, but the shiny swivels tend to attract fish to the swivel, and I don't want to. I want them to eat my bait, not the swivel. So this basic mortician's rig at the bottom, we got the loop that we're going to put the swivel on, or the sinker. We got 2 figure eights, 2 figure eights, and then the swivel at the top. And this I'm just going to do 40 pound and 40 pound, because 40 pound should be strong enough for whatever I'm going to catch in the Gulf, considering that I'm just going to have 20 or 30 pound braid anyway. Boy, I sleep for 10 seconds and I forget everything that I know how to do. Come on, I call this out. So Josie J went live today. She went and she caught a smallmouth at one spot. A couple of largemouths at another spot. I don't think the largemouths were on her live though. She ended the live when she left the first spot. And Andy, the fishing Hoosier, he was out crappie fishing today. And Crappie Man Jigs was out crappie fishing earlier today. And Bank Fishing Adventures posted a video this afternoon. Troy was live running around Corpus Christi. He wasn't fishing today. He was just kind of driving around and showing off the sights. Yeah, it's been a busy day on YouTube today. Lots of people out doing stuff. Scotty, are you going out this weekend? If you're still here. I don't know if you have to work or if you've got to get to go out fishing this weekend. Scotty from Fun Fishing Adventures is always a good thing to watch. And while this isn't, I won't put plugs on this. I was thinking about it, but nah. Oh, I have a problem. Okay. Now let's see. There we go. Now my microphone in theory works. I had it plugged in and didn't realize it wasn't on. Those should have been coming through my phone's microphone anyway. But I like this mic mini a lot more. Maybe at some point have things to do around here. Need to work on the boat some. Yeah. Understand. Everybody wants to be your friend when you got a boat. Till it's time to put gas in it or clean it up or all that other stuff. Like, man, that was a good time. Thanks for inviting me. And you're like, boats don't run on thanks, baby. Of course, I say that, but I don't take money from people anyway, so there's that. Hey, Stacy, how you doing, my friend? Saw you put out a video earlier. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but it looked like you be another one of your excellent videos. Found out I was heading to Pensacola after all, and I'm trying to get some rigs ready to go. I gotta make sure before I go to bed that I have everything plugged in and charging. It doesn't seem like that much to go fishing, but boy, you're sitting there going, okay, I need my battery packs, I need that, my microphone, I need, which I guess that's really not fishing, that's YouTubing, but let's see what I've done to bork this up. Something is not right, other than my face. No, that's not going to make it better. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, let's get this off here. Try this one more time. Yep. It's amazing all the, as a kid, it was so much easier going fishing. It's like, oh, grab the same rod and reel that you've been using and grab you some worms and off you go. Or grab you some chicken livers or whatever you needed to grab. Tell you what's depressing about going into the Gulf. So whenever I fish from the dock, it was that, I could get pinfish left and right whenever I wanted them. And it was like, man, these are annoying. They're ever, I can't catch anything else because all I'm doing is catching pinfish until you can't catch pinfish. And you're like, wait, now I don't have any bait. But Ashley is wonderful with a bait rod. So if we go out to the dock, she'll probably come out there and catch some pinfish if she's not out with the kids doing something. I feel kind of bad going to Florida, and I'm like, it's like I'm going on vacation. Like, yeah, well, her kids probably think it's their vacation too. Oh well, look at it. They don't fish, but there is an arcade down in Arkansas, not Arkansas, Alabama. Can't think of the city. Foley, which is also where they have one of the Lambers. But I digress. I can't imagine that we'll go down there and eat Lamberts, because that just, you drop 6 odd 40 pound. Instead of working on these, let me go see what I've got made up in here. Bumping rigs, sinker slides. Nope. My plan was to be more organized. Still my plan. Oh, I'm not. That's the problem. Oh, what do we got? 80-pound mortician rig, 60-pound 10-aughts. That's too big. 10-aughts, 10-aughts. Are really just too big for what I'm going to be doing down there. Okay. But I don't have to have everything tied up before I go. So I can tie things while I'm down there. And I think I'm going to just cheat. Hate it when I cheat. I think the Mortician's rig is a far superior rig to what I'm about to do, but do it anyway. There's the bottom. It's going to go to my sinker. Come up about that far. Do a triple surgeon's loop. Like so. And apparently it's going to be a single wrapper. So take my triple surgeon's loop and do exactly what I said I didn't want to do. Right through the front of the eye and down. Wrap it around a few times to try to simulate sort of a snelling. And there we go. And then put a swivel at the top of this. So while that's a stronger knot than the typical dropper loop knot, it still puts that cow hitch snell on there, which is subject to being broken by the hook, where it bends back around to form the loop, or to close off the loop. Let's see. Single. I can't even read that. S-I-N-G-L-E. 6 odd 40. If nothing else, this gives me a starting point. And I've probably got probably got a few rigs already tied down there. But I did take inventory of the rods that are down there, so I know what I have and what I don't have. So I don't have to pack 10 rods to go down there and go, oh, I've already got all this. This is starting to be comical. I should have wound it up a little more before I tried sticking it in here. But I'm excited to go down there to Florida. I love it down there. I've missed it, and it's just saltwater fish is just not fishing is just not comparable to freshwater fishing. Although if I catch gar again this time, we having gar for supper. I believe I saw her dad has a hatchet down there. And I've watched some videos of catching clean cooks and stuff on gar. And gar has some really nice looking white meat in it. 2 back straps, 1 on each side. And that's basically the meat on them. But they have a decent yield. And the problem is that you need some sort of heavy-duty accoutrement to get through the skin. Some people use tin snips. I've seen them use hatchets. I've seen them use reciprocating saws. It is kind of, I mean, the more organized you are when you, before you head out the door to go fishing, the better off your fishing trip is going to be. And yeah, I've watched the saltwater guys enough, you know, like Justin Reed fishing. You know, he's been out there with buddies, and a school of jacks come through, and he's got a lure rod tied up, and he goes after him, and his buddies are out there having to tie up. So he's out there catching fish while they're playing catch up. Now, I don't know anybody that eats jacks. They are a hard fighting fish, as are black drum and red drum. And I'm really interested to see. I always thought, and this is just me thinking, which is probably where I went wrong in the first place. Oh, I did. Dang it. I did the mortician's rig. I'll get snoots tied up. You know, I always thought that, you know, you went saltwater fishing, basically you caught these big giant fish and you kept 400,000 of them. And that's just not the case. Florida is doing a lot for conservation as far as recreational anglers go. So, like, you know, I want to say the limit is 1 redfish a day. I think 6 pompano. I don't know about the rest. What's weird, though, is most of the fish you're allowed to catch with a cast net. It's like, you can get, I believe you can catch pompano in a cast net. Which is just weird to me because, you know, freshwater you can't. You can catch your bluegill, but that's, and your bait, that's, you know, can't keep crappie, you can't keep bass, can't keep cat. I don't think you can keep catfish that you catch in a cast net. So, anyway, thought it was interesting. I'm also going to try to get some blue crabs while I'm down there if I can. Yes, Ryan. I'm going to make some more anyway. So this is the mortician's rig. I'll show you it real quick. That's the start of it. So you got your swivel at the top, come down. You've got 2 figure 8 knots. one here, and one here. And then you come down a little further, you get another set, one here and one here. Then down at the bottom, you've got a big giant surges loop, which is where the sinker will go. And then the way that these are attached, the snoods, is you've got surges loop on one end. You just kind of go around the main part of the leader, and you come through and you create a cow hitch knot, which I realize is not what you asked, but I'm kind of explaining how the rig works. So you got that. So it comes off the side, so you got the leader off the side, and it can spin freely on the main line. So put two of those on there. But you were specifically, whoops, come back here, asking about snell knot. So what I actually use is the egg loop knot. It starts off as a no knot snell, and the no knot snell is an incredibly strong knot, even though it's not really a knot. They also call it the knotless knot. So what you do, you go through the front of the front of the hook. So the front of the hook being where the point is. You come down, you get your tag in down here. So you put your tag in down here, and I'll show you the no knot snell first. So you get the end that comes around where the wire bends up and terminates to finish off the loop. You go to the side that's solid so that you're not getting your line stuck in there. And you go around about 8 times. You keep going down the shank of the hook 8 times or so. Kind of hold it down here. You take the standing end, which is what's going to normally be tied to the main leader or to a swivel. You go through the back of the eye. You got to keep things tight, and you pull it up, and you make sure that your wraps don't overlap. Okay, and then you can just pull tight, leave yourself a little longer of a tag in here with the no knot snell, and that's that. Now, with one of the downsides of the no knot snell is that it can be pushed back through the back of the eye, or if you push back there, it can come loose, and if you're using really thick mono, it will tend to unravel a little bit. But that's more of a felt concern than a real concern. Now, so we'll go back to exactly where we were, when we stuck it through the back, right? This time we just leave about 1 inch or 2 out there. Okay, so you keep the tag end down. Use a different piece of line because I'd already cut the tag end off of that. Okay. So we do the same. We're going to start the same way. We go through the front of the hook. We'll get our tag end. Okay, this is the tag end, and this is the standing end, which will go to something else. You wrap it around again 8 times or so. Now, you kind of, where this line comes through, you just kind of pinch it right there so that it can't come loose. You put, again, through the back about 1 inch or so, and you grab the end that you just had under your finger, and then you hold the other end against the back of the hook, and you go through 4 more reps. And then you just kind of pull it tight, again, making sure that you keep pressure on it, and it gets easier once you've done it several times, so that nothing overlaps. Okay, and what this does for you, those last 4 wraps, the original purpose of it was for like salmon fishing and such, or you could also do this with like a chicken liver, right? So you can push it through the eye of the hook, push it back, and you've got an area here, but it's not going to, the knot's not going to come loose because of the last 4 loops or wraps that we did. But you could put like an egg here, you could put something like chicken liver, whatever. It kind of holds it in place. But the reason I tie the egg loop knot there is so the knot can't come undone. Is basically my reasoning behind it. And there are videos on my channel about the no knot snell strength tests of the different knots and different hooks and such. I made that loop too big, but it's not going to hurt anything go back to this. And my other set of figure 8 knots, we'll just, again, put the hook through the big loop, pull it tight between those two figure 8s, which creates a cow hitch knot and allows it to spin freely. And it also allows you, if you wanted to, you could actually back this knot out and you could change the leader. So if you wanted to use a different size hook, for instance. So you can change out just a snoot if you wanted. I don't see a lot of benefit in that for what I'm going to be doing, but it's possible to do. And I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of strength tests on, and I'm not done by any stretch, different lines, different knots, and I've learned a lot along the way. So I didn't like a lot of the tests that I had seen out there because they would, like pull the knot as slowly as possible until it broke. Well, when a fish grabs your line and goes running, it doesn't just go, I'm going to very softly pull this line. So I wanted something that was going to give, as much realism as possible. Let's see. Oh, man. Mortician. That's horrible. M-O-R-T. 6/0. 40-pound. Double. And I put them in these little 3x5-inch 4 mil bags. And I do that because then when you pull one rig out, you got one rig. And I mean, it may be a little snarled up in there, but not terribly. Whereas if you put a whole bunch of them together, they're going to get snarled up bad. Scotty, if you go to my channel description, because it's not in the video description for this one yet, but it'll give you a link to my Amazon store, and in my Amazon store you can find those bags. And you do want to get the 4 mil. I tried getting the 2 mil, and 2 mil are just too thin, and the hooks just pop right through them too easily. The hooks will go through these 4 mil, don't get me wrong, but they're not just going to like go through it right off the bat. You have to do some work to it. And they're not that much more expensive, and I think they just do a better job. And then you can take those baggies and you can put them in a pencil case that goes in a binder, little pencil bags. Usually get those for $1 each around back to school time. Or you can, just put them in a like a 1/4 gallon Ziploc bag. And I try to keep them together by hook size and rig type. So, if you're doing 3-way rigs, you get that. If you're doing a double dropper like this, you get those. Just kind of gives you the ability to go out for whatever you're targeting that day. So, I've got some bigger hooks and lines that I use if I'm going on the Mississippi. And then I got smaller ones if I'm going to like park ponds and stuff like that. It depends on what size fish I'm hoping to catch. Because, the park ponds, if you catch a 4-pounder, you're doing really good. On the Mississippi, if you catch a 80-pounder, you're doing really good. So, there you go. Yeah, the 2 mil bags are yeah, they're too thin. In my opinion. I think the 4 mil bags do a pretty good job, and the 3x5 seems to be a good size, good all-around size. I can put my skipjack rigs in them. I can put my catfish rigs in them. You can put the double dropper loops in them. Some of these mortician rigs are a little big for them. When you start getting, 5-foot long leaders and stuff, but yeah. Wanted them to put Gig's head on. Wanted to put them in. Oh, put jig heads in. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's actually pretty. I mean, they're the right size. I mean, you know, you could put 25 jig heads in there easy. Well, depending on the size of jig heads. I'm thinking, you know, like 1/16, but if you're doing bigger ones, you know, easily put 10 in there without getting cramped at all. And because the hooks are flat, you know, they're not offset like some of these circle hooks are, that also makes them less likely to want to pierce the bag. Like, I mean, these are a little offset, and I mean, like if I run it right here, I can feel the point, but you know, that's about it. It's not bad. I will drop 6/0, 40 pound. Okay, so that's good. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. It's a starting point. Those in there. We got 2 hooks left over these. Those are 5/0. Oh, I've got more. They're selling them on this. Okay, there we go. Pack those, and it's my 40 pound or 30 pound trolley. Big game. What's this? Probably a 20 pound, 60 pound. Let's see if I got 40 pound in here. I know the answer. 40 pound. So I've got everything I need to create several more of these if I need to. There we go. I know I've got. So I have to make pompano rigs down there, the beads and the floats and stuff. Yeah, 9:49. Yeah. I'm going to call it, folks. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you putting up with my nonsense. I enjoy having you guys here, keeping me company as I do this. I will be out this weekend in Pensacola if I have anything to say about it fishing, meaning that there's not wild storms coming through the entire time, and do some surf fishing, do some fishing from the dock, hang out and have a good time. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.